Hello, this is Alex from musicsequencing.com, and today I'm going to do a quick overview of a whole bunch of effects that we use in audio production for beginners to get kind of a bird's eye view of everything that they might use. So first, let's start by looking at EQ. So EQ makes things brighter, or it can make things darker. A lot of times we use EQ to find treble frequencies, and you do that by boosting a frequency, finding something that you might not want, and you turn it down. Now, the bottom line with EQ, it is the most important tool that you use in mixing and mastering. So having a good grasp on EQ will get you the farthest in getting great mixes and getting things to sit right in your mix. So I have an article on music sequencing that really goes in depth into that. All right, next, reverb. Reverb sounds like this. What reverb is it's actually a bunch of delays happening so fast that it just sounds kind of like one long sound. And reverb sets the space of your mix. If something has a lot of reverb, we say it is wet. This is a wet. And if it doesn't have much reverb, then it is dry. That's the terminology used when we deal with effects. If it has a lot of effects, it is wet. If it doesn't have any effects, really, it is dry. Next, let's look at delays. Delays, check. This is a long delay. And let me show you what a short delay sounds like. Hello, this is a short delay. So short delays might be used to kind of make things bigger in a way. Long delays are a cool effect, but they can also be used subtly to give a certain dimension of depth to your mixes. And if you listen to a lot of professional mixes, you'll notice that there are a lot of delays going on that you might not right in your face, but they're filling out the mix. All right, next, let's look at gates. So I will show you, I actually have a gate on my vocal, and if you look at these lights that are going on and off, basically what a gate does, if a sound is loud enough, you can hear the sound, but if the sound is too quiet, then it just turns it off. So when I'm breathing, you don't hear it. The lights stay on. But if I turn down the threshold, you will hear it. And practically the reasons you would use a gate, one would be is if you are recording drums and you have a mic on a snare and the sound from the hi-hat is bleeding into the snare mic, you might not want that sound all the time. So the snare sound will be louder. So you will set the threshold so that the gate only opens when the snare is playing, and then you can kind of sculpt only the snare sound rather than the hi-hats that are in between the snare hits. Another reason would be creatively, would be to gate a reverb, and I have a video on that. I'll put it up in the corner somewhere, but it's a really cool common effect that you'll hear over records from the 80s up until now all the time. All right, moving on, let's take a look at distortion. This is the decapitator. We're going to start up here and kind of move around like this to all these effects. So this is distortion. Here is my keyboard sound without distortion. And here it is with the distortion on. So distortion can be that fuzzy sound. It can be a lot more subtle too. So distortion is not only an effect that we use, but it's also a coloration tool in mixing. And one example would be is if you have a sub bass that's really low and you want it to cut higher up on the frequency range, you might put on distortion and then it will cut through higher up in the mix. You would also use distortion maybe on your master bus, basically on everything. That can smooth out the highs and add warmth and all different things. So distortion can be really an effect. Also, it's a great tool to use in mixing. And let's go on to tremolo real quick. So here it is without tremolo. Here it is with tremolo. So tremolo is basically the volume going up and down. Now chorus, without chorus, with chorus in the top right corner. So chorus is basically duplicating the signal and then delaying it so it sounds like there's more than one instrument playing at once. And a lot of times we use chorus on synthesizers or guitars or keyboards, and it can really kind of fatten the sound or make it sound bigger in a way, I guess. Phasers. So phasers also duplicate the signal, but instead of just delaying it, they have a sweeping filter that goes up and down. Also used a lot on synths, guitars, keyboards. Flangers. Flangers are similar to phasers, but the duplicated signal is, the delay of the duplicated signal is changed around. All right, cool. So next, let's look at compression real quick. So we're looking at the bottom right corner with compression on and with it off. So compression can be difficult to hear in the beginning and difficult to get right. But basically, the times you want to use a compressor is if you need to make something sound more even, the volume is too crazy and you want to even out the sound, or you want to glue things together. The reason compression can be tricky is a lot of times you'll put on a compressor and it'll make something louder, which makes you think it's better. So the thing about using compressors is you want to make sure you're level matching. So you want to set the same volume. So right now they are about the same volume. It's without it. Here's with it. But if I turn up the gain on the compressor just a bit, you'll hear without it, with it. The one that is louder instantly sounds better. So just be careful with using it. I'm not going to get much more into it right now, but mess around with it, see if you can make things better. Try not to make things worse by squishing things and deadening them. All right, lastly, I want to show you a limiter. So a limiter is like a compressor, but what it does is it just straight chops off the top of the dynamics. So if you look at this limiter, it's called the Pro L by FabFilter, you'll see that at the top there's the gray and then the blue is like a straight line, and the blue is the actual signal that's getting out, and it is just cut off. So we call this a brick wall limiter because it's flat like a brick wall. And a lot of times you use a limiter on your master bus, it'll be the last in the chain so you don't get any rogue dynamics distorting your mix. So I hope this has been a good overview. Come by musicsequencing.com for more articles and going more into depth on this stuff. Have a great day. Peace.